Let me talk to you about education. You need a black and white so you don't end up in the dirt. Huh? See that? Get you on the flip side, man. Okay? Let's talk about that. You know? Got it? Did you guys get a little sideways? Look, I told you. From out of the darkness, you're stuck in the night, need a little light. Okay, get a black and white for education. Plant a good seeds and you move from the dirt with your pin and gear. Get your pin and gear. Give it a thumbs up. Point to the whiteboard and you say, we said Trinity services, you see? So we'll go in threes, you see? And I go, well, they look at the pyramid and they saw there's four sides, so they keep cubicle stuff, man, with their airplane designs and stuff. And remember, I said, the space program, I had a big planet last summer and a bunch of triangle stuff out in the satellites in space, and they wonder why you do it like that. I says, man, I'll tell you why. Because if you're launching satellites into space, you need to land them too, So they say, can you think outside of the box? We'll teach you some, Egyptian hieroglyphics today. Can you think outside of the box? Well, if there were a certain diamond in the sky, you cut in half the equator. Okay? Now, they see this symbol and they go, what? Well, remember, the Army Corps of Engineers are going to see this and they go, man, I can't believe that. Well, we made it so they wouldn't forget. We called it Army Corps of Engineers. Okay? And then we said for light. Okay? You need a lighthouse, so let me show you a lighthouse. Everybody thought they had their own ideas. Up there in the Department of Defense, you see? Defense. Everybody try to see over the fence. Okay? They try to look over the fence and see what they're doing, So I'm like, you see the diamond when they got to go out there in the rivers and streams of time? They put a dredge, like a ship, like a Navy ship out there. And you got to see which way the dredge is digging by looking at the diamond that's hanging from the sky, It's like a pendulum effect, And so some people, they said if you could only have a heart, and remember, the space and time is like a pendulum swinging back and forth, or from the future and the past, okay? And then you got present, okay? We'll call that a PPF, and because it's PP if you don't see. So you got a future, okay? And if you got a future, that make you a person. So you have the triple people, places, and protection of education, And it starts with psychological education. We fix that, we fix everything, So they said, man, look at this diamond. What we're going to do? We says, well, we said if you have a good education, it's worth more than money. Money can't even buy that kind of education. So we said, well, maybe if we round it off a little bit, just round it off. Okay? If we round off the edges, I gotta work on it and take the sharp edges off. But still, you want to spin like a top all the way around the earth with love, And we call that, O-E. It's a, like that. Okay. And you go, man, ask Jesus. I said, everybody got their coffee today? you know? And you could say, did you talk to the light of the wisdom, of the good, of diplomacy? Okay. And I go, man, this is getting weird. I says, man, I'm gonna tell you, look, now here's the oceans. And we said, you got the middle class, which is like the surface of the waters. And then you got underneath the water, and then you got above the water. And we like to call, if you're walking through space and time, like an astronaut, astro planes, okay? And then you can get more of an idea of where you came from and where you're going. And if you didn't come from here and you're going here, then maybe you can come from here back to here, and you can tell these people where to go the right way. And you go, man, well, it's from the dark into the light, the dark into the light, dark into the light, you see? So if you got underneath the waters and above the waters, and even in space, there's a little bit of darkness in the shadows, and just like the shadows of underneath the waters. And then you got on the surface. Well, on the surface, they want you to know, even the sun, that's shining its light out there into the moon, you know? And you say, man, maybe it's not a full moon, maybe it's just a little bit, or maybe it's at that part of the season where the moon is just kind of grinning. It's got a grin in the sky, but you can't see this part, right? Well, that's because sometimes you just see the beginning, and you're never going to wait long enough for that light to shine to light up the whole darkness and then make you a whole, two eyes open, for full moon. And they go, wow. And you say, well, if you just pay attention and you don't get distracted, okay, then you have a clear path to the future. And I go, man, you mean you can bring this back into this, and you go like this, and you say, well, now if I could take this light, like the moon goes into the darkness with the full moon, and I could put it under the water like a submarine. And I go, man, that's pretty cool. And he says, well, if you have a timeline, a little wavelength of understandings, and then you have this ship that's underwater. Now, if the ship that's underwater can control itself with ballast, and don't forget about it's got wings, okay, underwater. And plus, you remember you had the little propeller back here, you see a little propeller on the submarine, a nuclear submarine, right? And then a torpedo tube, we wanted to leave you a little hint, for your headlights, and said, man, if you had an airplane backwards, you got a propeller here, And it says, and then you got the torpedo shooting out here. So they're like, man, they got it coming out from both ends. I says, yeah, that's the problem. They didn't understand. So this is okay. So we got a jet engine on the back of the plane now. Okay. And we forgot about the front of the plane. Or maybe we got it on the back of the plane and we forgot about the front of the plane. You see, this is the problem. So it says maybe we'll equal it out with the planes, for the planes of the waters above and below, and we'll make a submarine, and with compression and stuff, we make the submarine sink underwater and raise up to the surface. So if you could work together and make the correct, substances and the correct fuelings and the correct designs of your airplanes, then maybe you can make it something that's sink it down here and I go up here, and maybe you start to find out that you had the Stargate, you know, Atlantis. You mean, yeah, man, the angels giving solutions, okay? And we say, man, yeah, those saints giving, angels, the seniors aren't just the old people, they're the space race. You see? And I'm like, man, you people just look at that stuff and just every day, man, no problem. Now, I want to tell you about this A-10, okay? Now, the A-10, they had the airplane wing back here and little stuff. Then they had the fuselage, right? Then you had the nose up here, They had a nosy business, man. Big, long Pinocchio nose, They didn't know what they were talking about. And then they had a big wing over here, okay? And so what they did is they tried to cover half the distance, and they moved the A-10 engine kind of like right up in here, They wanted to split the difference, and it kind of worked for a little bit, And plus, it had the propulsion and stuff. Then they went to the helicopter thing, and tried to do that. But they didn't listen to the space race people. So we were trying to be peaceful and say, hey, you could save money if you do this. Well, I said, you tie it like a rock, like a meal around your neck and jump in the river. And they go, how much does the U.S. Navy love people? He says, well, they told you to tie a millstone around your neck and jump in the river and drown. So he says, well, what we'll do is we'll get a heart, we'll make it a locket, so they can hang that around their neck. And maybe they can remember their families that pledged their lives, their families, and their fortunes to save their education and their flight program and their space program and everything else. And that dived into the water, all brave and stuff, in those submarines, man. I couldn't see nothing in the dark trying to figure stuff out to help these people on the surface that were walking around blind in a bunch of storms. And all the wavelengths were off going crazy. So we studied the wavelengths and electronics and the radio waves and satellite streams, and he says, maybe we could do this. And he says, well, maybe we'll just make a movie. And I say, if they had the will to have the Smith, the weaponsmith. And you go, what Smith? What Smith? What script? What system? And maybe they'll look to the Southwest and see, oh man, they need stuff there. Yeah, that too, and they go, that's a word script, right? And it's for the mind and the heart, Now that's my home room right there, okay? And that's heavenly media, saving worlds right there.